An 8-year-old boy walked into a biker clubhouse holding a loaded gun and asked which one of them was his real father. "My mom's dead," he announced, his voice shaking but determined. "She said one of you is my dad, and I have 48 hours to find him before they send me away." Reaper, president of the Iron Brotherhood, slowly stood up from the poker table. "Put the gun down, son," he said carefully. "Not until someone admits they're my father," the boy cried. "Mom said he'd be here, and she's never lied to me." "What's your name?" Reaper asked, his hands visible and open. "Ethan Torres," he said. "My mom is Sarah Torres, and she said she knew my father 10 years ago. He rides with the Iron Brotherhood." Every single biker in that room remembered Sarah. Beautiful, kind, the woman who served them coffee at Rosie's diner and treated them like human beings when the rest of the world looked away. She'd disappeared one summer without explanation. Now they knew why. "Where's your mom now, Ethan?" asked Diesel, the club's enforcer. "Dead," the boy said flatly. "Her boyfriend Ray killed her 3 days ago. Stabbed her while I hid in the closet." The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. 12 hardened bikers, men who'd seen war and violence, felt their blood run cold. "But she won't tell me who my dad is," Ethan continued, the gun wavering in his small hands. "She just gave me this gun and said, 'Go to the Iron Brotherhood clubhouse and show them this.'" He pulled out a photograph with his free hand. It showed Sarah, 10 years younger, with 5 bikers at a 4th of July barbecue. One of those men was Ethan's father. Reaper recognized everyone in that photo. 3 were in this room right now: Mad Dog, Mongoose, and himself. "She said my real dad would protect me," Ethan whispered. "But I don't know which one. And now she's gone, and Ray is looking for me." "Looking for you, why?" Reaper asked. "Because I'm the witness," Ethan said. "I saw everything. And Ray said if I tell anyone, he'll kill me too. But his brother is a cop, so nobody will believe me anyway." A corrupt cop's brother threatening a child. This just got complicated. "Ethan, I need you to put the gun down so we can help," Reaper said. "Nobody here is going to hurt you." "No." The boy started crying, but kept the gun raised. "Someone has to be my father. Mom said so. And I can't go into foster care because Ray's cousin runs the group home, and he already told me what happens to kids who talk too much." The implications of that statement made every biker ready to commit murder. If you believe in kindness and want this story to reach more people, subscribe, but only if you truly mean it. Snake, their tech expert and former NSA contractor, was already on his laptop. Ray Hutchins, 34, multiple domestic violence arrests, all dropped. His brother is Detective Frank Hutchins, Metro PD. 3 excessive force complaints, all dismissed. "Frank Hutchins," Mad Dog spat. "I know that bastard. He's dirty. Everyone knows it. But Internal Affairs won't touch him." "The cousin who runs the foster home," Snake continued typing. "That's Dylan Hutchins. He runs Bright Future Home for Children. State-funded, inspected monthly. But there's been 12 complaints filed about missing kids in the last 3 years. 12 kids, Diesel growled. "And nobody's shut him down?" "Can't shut down what you can't prove," Snake said grimly. "Every investigation gets buried. Guess who's on the oversight committee? Detective Frank Hutchins." Reaper noticed something crucial. Ethan held the gun with proper form. Finger off the trigger, barrel pointed down until he needed to aim. "Who taught you to hold a gun like that?" Reaper asked. "Mom did," Ethan said. "She made me practice at the range. She said I might need it someday if Ray ever tried to hurt her when she wasn't around to stop him." His voice broke. "But she was wrong. I needed it when he hurt her, and I was too scared to use it." "You were 8 years old, hiding in a closet," Mad Dog said firmly. "Nobody expects an 8-year-old to stop a grown man with a knife." "But now she's dead because I didn't shoot him," Ethan sobbed. Reaper made a decision, one that would change everything. Ethan, I'm going to tell you something important. We're all going to be your father until we figure out which one really is. That doesn't make sense, Ethan protested. It does in our world, Reaper explained. You came to us for protection, and that's what you'll get, from every man here. But the DNA test takes weeks, Mad Dog said. Your mom is gone, Reaper interrupted gently. You need protection now. We don't need DNA to give you that. Ethan finally lowered the gun slightly. You promise? You won't send me to that foster home? Iron Brotherhood doesn't break promises to children, Diesel said. That's our code. That's when they heard the sirens, multiple cars getting closer fast. Did you call anyone? Reaper asked Ethan. No, the boy said, fear flooding back into his face. But Ray put a tracker in my shoe. Mom didn't know about it until after she was dying. She told me, but I forgot. Give me the shoe, Snake commanded. Ethan kicked off his right sneaker. Snake grabbed it, found the tiny GPS tracker wedged in the sole, and crushed it under his boot. Too late, Mongoose announced from the window. 6 police cars surrounding the building. Detective Frank Hutchins walked through the door like he owned the place. Tall, muscular, with a smile that never reached his cold blue eyes. There you are, Ethan, he said in a voice dripping with false concern. Your Uncle Ray has been worried sick about you. Uncle Ray killed my mom, Ethan screamed. Now, Frank said, stepping closer. Your uncle loves you. He's just been under a lot of stress since your mother's tragic accident. Accident? Ethan's hand started shaking. He stabbed her 23 times. I counted. You're confused, son, Frank said smoothly. Trauma can make children imagine things that didn't happen. She's not going anywhere with you, Reaper stated, positioning himself between Frank and Ethan. Frank laughed. 12 bikers with criminal records against 6 police officers and the law on my side? You sure you want to play this game? He's my son, said a voice from the corner. Everyone turned to see Mad Dog step forward, the youngest of the 3 possible fathers, but the one with the most dangerous look in his eyes. Excuse me, Frank said. Ethan is my son, Mad Dog stated. Sarah and I were together 10 years ago. I want a DNA test to prove it, and I want custody. Frank's smile didn't waver, but something dark flickered behind his eyes. Doesn't matter what you want. Ray has legal guardianship papers. Sarah signed them last year. That's a lie, Ethan shouted. Mom would never give Ray guardianship. She was planning to run away from him. Prove it, Frank challenged. That's when the clubhouse door opened again, and a woman in a business suit walked in. She was late 50s, gray hair pulled back, with the kind of face that had seen too much injustice, and refused to look away any more. I can prove it, she announced. My name is Margaret Chen. I'm an attorney with Child Protective Services, and I have evidence that changes everything. Frank went pale. You have no authority here. Actually, I do, Margaret said calmly. She pulled out a folder thick with documents. Sarah Torres came to my office 6 months ago. She filed for a restraining order against Ray Hutchins, documented every injury, every threat, and most importantly, she recorded him. She pulled out a small digital recorder. 3 months of recordings, where Ray admits to multiple assaults, threatens to kill Sarah if she leaves, and explicitly states his plan to take Ethan if anything happens to her. That's illegally obtained evidence, Frank said quickly. It's not, Margaret smiled. Sarah obtained it herself, in her own home, which is perfectly legal, and it includes Ray admitting on tape that his brother, a police detective, helps him avoid consequences. The other officers who'd come with Frank started backing toward the door. They wanted no part of this. There's more, Margaret continued. Sarah also filed documents stating that if anything happened to her, custody should go to Ethan's biological father. She named 3 possible candidates. She looked at Reaper, Mad Dog, and Mongoose. All members of this motorcycle club. Frank reached for his gun. 12 bikers moved faster, but it was Ethan who acted first. The 8-year-old boy raised his mother's gun with steady hands and fired. Not at Frank. At the ceiling above Frank's head. The shot echoed like thunder. Frank dove for cover. The other officers drew their weapons but had no clear target. And in that moment of chaos, Margaret Chen did something unexpected. She pulled out her own gun. Not a service weapon, but a personal firearm carried by someone who'd learned the hard way that the law doesn't always protect the innocent. "Nobody moves," she commanded. "I'm a licensed carry permit holder, and I'm currently protecting a child from a corrupt officer attempting to kidnap him." "You're insane," Frank hissed from behind a motorcycle. "You just ended your career." "My career ended 3 years ago when I watched the justice system fail 12 children from Bright Future Home," Margaret said coldly. "Children who disappeared and whose cases were buried by you and your brother and your cousin. I've been building a case ever since." Snake looked up from his laptop. "She's telling the truth. Margaret Chen was fired from CPS 3 years ago for insubordination. Translation? She tried to investigate Dylan Hutchins' foster home and got shut down." "So you've been working alone," Reaper said. It wasn't a question. "Not alone," Margaret corrected. "I've been working with the FBI. They've had an open investigation into the Hutchins family for 18 months. They've been waiting for the right moment to move." "And this is it?" Diesel asked. "This is it," Margaret confirmed. She pulled out her phone and dialed a number. "Agent Torres, we're ready." The clubhouse door burst open for the 3rd time. Federal agents poured in, weapons drawn, vests clearly marked. Leading them was a woman in her 40s, with Sarah's eyes and Sarah's determined chin. "I'm FBI Special Agent Maria Torres," she announced. "Sarah Torres was my sister, and I've been waiting 3 years to take down the men who made her life hell." Frank Hutchins tried to run. He didn't make it 3 steps before Diesel clotheslined him. The detective hit the floor hard, and 4 federal agents were on him in seconds. "Frank Hutchins, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, obstruction of justice, and about 40 other charges we'll add later," Agent Torres said. She looked at Ethan, and tears filled her eyes. "Hi, baby. I'm your Aunt Maria. I'm sorry I couldn't save your mom, but I'm going to make sure you're safe now." Ethan stared at her, the gun still in his hands. "Mom told me about you. She said you were brave." "She was the brave one," Maria said softly. "She gathered all that evidence knowing it might get her killed. She did it to protect you." "Where's Ray?" Ethan asked. "He's still out there." "Not anymore," Maria said. She pulled up a photo on her phone. Ray Hutchins in handcuffs, being loaded into a police car. "We arrested him an hour ago. He's going away for life." The boy finally lowered the gun. His legs gave out, and he collapsed. Mad Dog caught him before he hit the floor. "I've got you, son," Mad Dog whispered. "You're safe now." Margaret Chen pulled out more papers. Sarah's will specifically names 3 possible fathers. She requested DNA tests to determine paternity, and she wanted custody to go to whoever, matched, with visitation from the others. "So we test all 3, Reaper said. "We do," Maria agreed. "But in the meantime, Ethan needs a safe place to stay." "He stays with us," Mad Dog said firmly. "With all of us." "That's highly irregular," Margaret started. "I don't care," Maria interrupted. "My sister trusted these men enough to send her son to them. That's good enough for me. We'll arrange supervised custody with the club until the DNA results come back." If you love this story, click the like button and subscribe to this channel. Show us your support. The DNA results took 2 weeks. During those 2 weeks, Ethan Torres lived at the Iron Brotherhood clubhouse. He had 12 fathers teaching him different things. Reaper taught him about honor and responsibility. Diesel taught him that strength means protecting the weak, not hurting them. Snake taught him computers and how to spot lies in digital footprints. Mad Dog taught him about surviving trauma and not being ashamed of nightmares. And Mongoose, quiet Mongoose who rarely spoke about his own pain, taught Ethan the most important lesson of all: how to forgive yourself for things you couldn't control. The results came back on a Tuesday afternoon. Agent Maria Torres delivered them herself. She handed the envelope to Reaper with hands that shook slightly. "Before you open that," she said, "I need to tell you something. Sarah left letters, one for Ethan and one for his father." She pulled out 2 sealed envelopes. She wrote them 6 months ago, after she filed all the protective orders, like she knew time was running out. Reaper opened the DNA results. His hands were steady, but his eyes betrayed his emotions. He read the paper once, twice. Then he looked up at Mad Dog. "Congratulations, brother," Reaper said quietly. "You're a father." Mad Dog's face crumpled. He'd survived 2 tours in Afghanistan without crying, but this broke him. He wept like a child as Mongoose and Reaper embraced him. Ethan watched from across the room, his own eyes filling with tears. "So you're my dad," he whispered. Mad Dog dropped to his knees and opened his arms. "Yeah, son. I'm your dad." Ethan ran to him, and they held each other while 12 bikers and 1 FBI agent pretended not to cry. Maria handed Mad Dog the second letter. "This is from Sarah. She wanted you to have it." Mad Dog opened it with shaking hands. His eyes scanned the page, and fresh tears fell. "What does it say?" Ethan asked. Mad Dog's voice broke as he read aloud. "Matthew, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and our son needs you. I never told you about Ethan because I was afraid. Afraid you'd feel trapped, afraid you'd resent me, afraid I'd ruin the good man I knew you were. But I was wrong to keep him from you. Ethan is the best thing I ever made, and he has your courage, your kindness, and your stubborn refusal to quit even when things are hard." He paused, wiping his eyes. "I don't regret our time together. I don't regret any of it. You gave me the greatest gift, even if you didn't know it. Please don't let my mistakes keep you from knowing our son. He needs you. He needs all of you. The Iron Brotherhood was the only family who ever accepted me completely, and I know they'll do the same for Ethan. Tell him I love him. Tell him I fought to stay as long as I could. Tell him his mama was brave even when she was terrified. And Matthew, forgive yourself for leaving. You had orders, you had duty. I understood then, and I understand now. Just love our boy the way I know you will. That's all I ever wanted. All my love. Sarah." There wasn't a dry eye in the clubhouse. Even Diesel, who bragged about never crying, turned away and wiped his face. Ethan pulled back from his father's embrace. "She really wrote that?" "She did," Mad Dog confirmed. "Your mama loved you more than anything in this world." "I know," Ethan said softly. "That's why she gave me the gun. She knew I'd need it to get here." The trial of Ray Hutchins took 6 months. Ethan testified via closed-circuit video, surrounded by his father, his Iron Brotherhood family, and his Aunt Maria. Ray was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole. Detective Frank Hutchins got 25 years for corruption, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy. His badge was stripped, his pension revoked, and his name became synonymous with everything wrong with dirty cops. Dylan Hutchins, the foster home operator, got 30 years when investigators discovered the truth about those 12 missing children. Some had been trafficked. Others had been abused and silenced. All of them had been failed by a system that should have protected them. Margaret Chen was reinstated to Child Protective Services with a promotion. She now heads a special task force investigating corruption in the foster care system. Agent Maria Torres continued her work with the FBI, but now she had something she'd been missing for years: family. she became a permanent fixture at the Iron Brotherhood clubhouse, joining them for barbecues and holidays, teaching Ethan about his mother's side of the family. And Ethan Torres, the 8-year-old boy who walked into a biker clubhouse with a loaded gun and demanded answers, became the youngest honorary member of the Iron Brotherhood. He wore a special patch on his little leather vest. Protected son. But he wasn't just protected. He was loved. Fiercely, completely, by a father who'd never known he existed, and 12 brothers who chose to stand between him and a world that had tried to destroy him. Mad Dog legally adopted Ethan 3 months after the DNA results came in. The adoption hearing was held in a courtroom packed with bikers. The judge, a former Marine himself, looked at the assembled brotherhood and said, "I've seen a lot of families in my courtroom. This is one of the best." Reaper and Mongoose became godfathers, not in the religious sense, but in the real sense. They helped raise Ethan, taught him, guided him, and loved him as their own. The Iron Brotherhood still tells the story of the night an 8-year-old boy walked into their clubhouse with his mother's gun and desperation in his eyes, how he found not just his father, but an entire army of protectors, how sometimes blood makes family, but choice makes it stronger. The gun Ethan carried that night is mounted on the wall of the clubhouse. Below it, a plaque reads, "July 19th, the night Ethan Torres walked in alone and reminded 12 demons what it means to be angels." Mad Dog looks at it every day and remembers. Not the fear, not the chaos, but the moment his son chose him before DNA confirmed it. The moment Ethan ran into his arms and called him Dad. 5 years later, Ethan is 13. He still has nightmares about his mother's death, but they're getting less frequent. He's in therapy, he's on the honor roll at school, and he's learning to ride motorcycles under the careful supervision of 12 fathers who die before letting anything happen to him. He visits his mother's grave every Sunday with Mad Dog. They bring flowers, and Ethan tells her about his week, about the A he got on his history test, about learning to rebuild an engine, about the girl in his class who smiled at him, and every time, before they leave, Ethan says the same thing. "I found him, Mama. I found Dad. And he's everything you said he'd be." Mad Dog stands beside his son, hand on his shoulder, and silently thanks Sarah for the gift she gave him, for the courage she showed in her final moments, sending their boy to safety even as she took her last breaths. The Iron Brotherhood learned something important that July night. That family isn't just about blood or patches or club rules. It's about showing up when someone needs you. It's about protecting the innocent even when it's dangerous. It's about being the father a child needs, even if DNA hadn't confirmed it. Because Reaper was right that first night. They all became Ethan's fathers. They all chose to protect him. And in doing so, they proved what real brotherhood means. It means a scared 8-year-old can walk into a room full of dangerous men with a loaded gun, and instead of finding violence, he finds salvation. It means 12 bikers can look at a traumatized child and see not a problem to be dealt with, but a son to be cherished. It means that sometimes the scariest-looking people are the safest place to land. Ethan still has that photograph his mother gave him. The one with 5 bikers at a 4th of July barbecue 10 years ago. But now he has hundreds more. Photos of birthday parties and Christmas mornings. Photos of his first motorcycle ride and his middle school graduation. Photos of a family that chose each other against all odds. And in every single photo, 13 people are smiling. A boy who survived hell, a father who never knew he had a son, and 12 brothers who proved that angels don't always have wings. Sometimes they have motorcycles, leather vests, and hearts big enough to save a child who had nowhere else to turn. If you believe bikers are the good people, subscribe to this channel and show us your support. Share this story with everyone who needs to be reminded that heroes still exist, that family is what you make it, that love isn't about biology, it's about choice, it's about showing up, it's about being there when a scared kid walks through your door asking for help and choosing to give it, no questions asked. The Iron Brotherhood gave Ethan Torres his life back. They gave him safety, family, and a future he thought had died with his mother. And in return, Ethan gave them something they didn't know they were missing. Purpose. The reminder that their patch, their brotherhood, their code, it all means something real. Thank you for watching. Thank you for believing in the power of family, chosen or born. Thank you for being part of a community that knows heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear leather, ride steel, and save children who need them most. This is the story of a boy, a gun, and 12 men who proved that family is verb, not a noun. It's what you do, not what you are. And sometimes it starts with a desperate child, a loaded weapon, and the courage to walk into the unknown and demand the protection you deserve. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button, share it, subscribe. Let the world know that stories like this matter, that children like Ethan matter, that brotherhood, real brotherhood, still exists in this broken world. Until next time, remember, family isn't always the one you're born into. Sometimes it's the one that saves you.